Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on how to have players enter their own scores and your tournament auto run. We're super excited about this new feature, and we're going to just dive in and let you see how players are going to be able to enter their own scores. We have two people on with us, Janice Pauly and Katie Smallwood. They have been testing out this software in their tournaments, so they're going to get to share their expertise as well. So Janice, just give us a brief kind of overview of your involvement with the company, pickleball.com, and maybe your tournament running experience.
So I am basically a consultant for pickleball.com. I do a lot of testing and and some training. And my experience with running tournaments is for about 14 years or so. I've been running pickleball tournaments, and they get bigger and bigger, and we have more and more features available to make them easier to run. And this is probably the best one so far.
And Katie, what about you? What do you do with pickleball.com and tournament experience? I know you've been on our roundtable stuff before for our best tournament practices, but in case people missed that one, what about you?
So I am working with the customer support department for pickleball.com, helping new tournament directors set up their tournaments and get them ready to run, and then also problem solve player account issues and stuff like that. And I've been running tournaments on my own for about 5 or 6 years, and I probably do 10 to 15 tournaments a year.
Nice. And in case I didn't mention it already, my name is Jenna. Sometimes I forget that because I'm so excited to introduce you guys to new stuff and new people. But yes, I am your kind of tournament host here, hosting all of these webinars for you guys. I have moved into a role where it's kind of like content creating webinars. We're working on a database of videos for YouTube that you guys have access to troubleshoot and learn how to do tournaments, so that you can kind of self-learn these things. And then obviously doing webinars and with the same purpose in mind as well. I've been running tournaments for around 4 years or so. The biggest around 500 people and down to super small ones of maybe like 100 people. So you have a good crew of experienced tournament runners right here. So, if you have any questions, just put them in the Q&A and we'll circle back to them at the end. Or once we're done with kind of this presentation, you can wait to see if your question got answered, and then we'll go through that at the end. That way we're not going back and forth. So I'm going to quick go through the instructions on how to do this. It's really short and sweet, you guys. It's easy. So the first thing is if you go into your edit tourney menu, scroll down and make sure you have texting turned on. You're obviously not going to see this free one. That's a thing because this is a demo tournament. So that's a thing for us admin people. But it's 25 cents per player, not per text. So make sure you turn that on. If you don't already have that turned on, I would highly recommend. Katie, Janice, you guys can probably comment too. We really need texting to use this efficiently, in your opinions, correct? Yeah?
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
And then we want to make sure that we are, let me go back to my other screen here, in our events screen. So I'm going to work with our mixed doubles event. And what you just do is you click on the edit pencil, and then you're going to scroll all the way to the very bottom, and you'll see can players enter scores? And then you'll see yes. Okay. And so when you turn that on, you can see minutes until auto confirm. For the moment, we'll leave that at 3 minutes. And then I'm going to have Katie and Janice talk about their experience with that in a few minutes. So auto confirm is like, I enter a score for my match. How many minutes does the other team have to confirm it before it's auto confirmed? So we'll leave that at 3, and again, talk about it further in a little bit. After that's saved, that's it for turning that on. When we go to the live console and verify our events, you will see here, let me just refresh this. So this is the event that we were just in, and I will just refresh my screen. You'll see now that it says here, it's got this little icon here, and players can enter scores. So this is now an event that's set up where players can enter their own scores. I will quick verify it a second. Again, this is just a demo tournament, fake accounts, and then I will just quick confirm. We have videos, you guys, on how this process works of confirming your events and verifying them. You need more specific training on that. Go to the YouTube page, look for the event on how to verify your events, and we can go into that process in greater detail. It's just basically setting up your event to run on tournament day. It's saying this event is ready to go, okay? So you can see now we have 5 events in waiting. Here's that mixed doubles 3-5 50+ event that we just did, and then another an additional 4 events, so 5 events total that I have already gone in and verified in preparation for this webinar. Okay, so that's it so far. And then as far as the court desk goes, if we go click on court desk, this is something that for myself, I've not used a ton of because I run a lot of round robin tournaments. So as far as assigning courts, I usually do like dedicated courts. So let's say that mixed 3-5 event is going to run on courts 1, 2, and 3, right? So I haven't always used court desk. What I love about this feature is that now we can have it auto run. So players entering scores and auto run kind of go together. And so when I go to start, let's go to start 3 of these events. Okay, so now we have 3 that are running. We go to our running section. Now we have this button that says fill empty courts. And literally we just click it. Okay, we say, yep, assign them. We'll go back to our court desk, hit refresh, and now we have our first round matches that have been sent out. Okay, so that's pretty much it. As soon as we hit, we could enter scores here, but you'll obviously have your players enter their scores. But if I have, like 15-10 and I was on court 1 there, if I hopefully could save that, now a new event is automatically there because the next match was ready. So it's automatically confirming you're automatically sending out your next matches. Okay. It's really easy. And then it just basically self-runs while you have brackets running, which frees you up to not have to worry about scores, saves you time, and it kind of puts the scoring in the hands of your players. So I do have a couple quick slides that I wanted to go through real quick just to show the player perspective. And then I want to go back to Janice and Katie to talk about their experience with this. So this is what your players are going to see. They'll see their next, if they go to the tournament, a pop-up should pop up automatically, and then you can see it says view current matches right there. In their current match, if you click on view the current match, they'll go right to the scoring section. So that's kind of what it looks like from a phone there. You can enter the score and hit save. Once you hit save, if you click on finish match, that's when it's going to go get sent to your opponents. And then this is from the opponent perspective. They're going to have the option to either confirm the match or dispute it. So if they confirm it, it'll just say, does that one actually, I think, says that's going to be disputed. So yes, we went right into this. So if you confirm it, you're going to that's the end of it. If you dispute it, this is what that would look like. You're going to confirm your dispute. And then when you get back to the match, then it's going to look like this. This match has been disputed. So it's pretty self-explanatory from the player perspective. I think it's just kind of finding the first couple matches and kind of figuring that process out. So that's where I want to pull back in Janice and Katie, and with them having used this software before, I would like, do you guys have anything to add like, did I forget anything with what you've encountered as far as running it, players' perspective, anything you want to add for how to make this run well as people get used to this? Katie, why don't we start with you?
Okay. I think the most important thing about using this is making sure the players are aware that they are going to be entering scores on their phone, because if they don't normally go to pickleball.com on their phone, they're not going to remember their password, and they have to be logged in order for it to find their tournament and their matches. So it's important to let the players know ahead of time that they are going to be doing this, and they need to be able to log on to pickleball.com before they come. Just test that out before tournament day.
Yes. And then Janice, what about you? We were talking about disputes before the webinar started, and you had said it was a pretty simple process. Players just came to the tournament desk, and you said you only had one in the tournaments that you've ran?
Yeah, I've run, I believe, 4 tournaments using this process, and I have only had one come up to me and say they disputed the score, and it was basically because score was put in backwards. And in that particular case, it was during a round robin event, and you can also set the confirm time to be an instant confirm, which is what it was for this round robin event. So basically, the other team did not have to confirm it. It just was instantly confirmed, and then the team came and said, it was put in incorrectly. So Katie, have you used any where you had a time limit on the confirmation, where a team actually disputed it through the app?
I have, and I mean, it does work fine. They get a message that asks both teams to come to the tournament desk so that you can ask both players, hey, just, is this correct now? And, that's helpful. But after doing 2 tournaments, giving them a certain number of minutes to confirm, I switched over to just doing the instant confirmation, because 98% of the time it is correct. And then also, we weren't having to wait for the other team to find their phone. Maybe they went to a different screen and they can't find it back. So if it doesn't auto confirm instantly, then you're just waiting all of this time for the players to get to their phone and confirm or dispute. And if they have to dispute, they've got to come to the table anyway. So I just started doing the instant confirmation. And then if there's a problem, they're still going to have to come to the table.
And Janice,
the only other thing I would add about that is if it's a double elimination or a single elimination, then instant confirm might cause problems, because it automatically assigns the next round after it's confirmed.
That's true.
And if you have the wrong winner in there, then the wrong winner can get sent to the wrong bracket, and then you have to go back and fix that. So if I were doing either a single elimination or a double elimination, or even a medal round after the round robin is over with, depending upon how large the medal round is, I might switch it to at the most 2 minutes. 3 minutes is long. 5 minutes is way too long.
Yeah, and if anybody is, adding that extra time in, make sure you're accounting for that in your tournament setup, or in the simulator, adding an extra minute or two, or maybe you split out your start times just a little bit. Katie or Janice, did you guys have any? Somebody I think was talking about encouraging a court monitor for the first couple brackets. Did you find any bottlenecks between your first set of start times and your second set of start times to where you needed to account for just a little bit more time for people to get used to it? Or did it run pretty smoothly once they figured it out the first time?
Okay, answer that, Katie?
Go ahead, Janice.
So, we, in the tournaments that I used it, we just had a separate person that met with the players before, in the bracket meeting, and, covered how to enter the scores and stuff. And really, once they get that first score in, it goes really smoothly after that. It's a little, intimidating, I think, to have to enter your own scores at the beginning. But once they do one, it's like, oh, that was so easy. And and then they could just run with it. So it's just getting that first one in. And then I think telling them to make sure that they stay on current match, or if they go out to look at my matches, they need to come back to current match, because that's where the next one is going to populate. And if they go out to my matches and stay there, then they're going to miss seeing where to enter the score for the next one.
Gotcha.
So the only other thing I would add to that is, and like Katie, I run mainly round robin with maybe a playoff after it. And I always meet with the group ahead of time before their event starts. So we do go over all of that. I know there are a lot of tournaments where there's no meeting at all. You just send out the text, this is your first match, this is where you need to go. And in that case, they do need to get a lot of information in advance about what to expect. There is a video for players about how to input their scores. There's some information you can send them. One of the most important things I found was tell them to bring their reading glasses.
Yeah. So true, though.
So, and what Katie mentioned about being logged on in advance, about having their text messaging turned on themselves in their profile. All of those things, if they're done in advance, makes it so much easier for that first game that they have to put the score in. And it is helpful, definitely helpful, to have someone available or on the courts, near the courts, to, if someone has a problem, just show them and again, it's just the first time. After they do it for that first game, they're fine.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And just a couple questions that I know will probably pop up. Katie, I'll direct the first one at you. If you use this feature, must all of your matches use it?
No, you can decide which events you want to use the phone entry. Obviously, doing things on their phone is a little more of a comfort level for our younger players. And so they seem to be a little more eager and, quicker to accept being able to do that themselves. But yeah, you can do it for some and not for others. This past tournament, a week ago, I did 2 brackets a day with it, because we were just testing out some things that were changed. So, and it worked great. And so we were still able to do the paper on other brackets.
Gotcha. And then Janice, in terms of the autofill courts stuff, can you touch on that a little bit, with these two things kind of needing to coincide with one another?
Yeah, so what happens is when you start your event, and you click on the fill empty courts, it will fill the courts with any matches that are available for anything that has been started. Um, as players enter their scores, it will automatically record the score and then go to the next available game within that event or match within that event and assign them to whatever court happened to be emptied. Um, and this is another thing that players need to understand is that just because they just finished a game doesn't necessarily mean they will get assigned to another one right away, because you have to wait for someone to be available to play. So that's another thing that should be pointed out, and it's important to let them know they will get a text message assigning them to their next game. So don't go out there and play a game against someone you haven't been assigned to, and that
Right.
happens.
Right.
That
Yes,
does
it does.
happen.
It does. It happens even despite the directions of stay in order, don't go,
Yes,
We've had
yes.
that
And
before.
yeah, so that's, that's a really important thing. But once it starts going, you just have to sort of monitor, and I monitor it through the court desk. If you keep the court desk up and refresh it every once in a while, you'll see that the games are coming out, they're being played. And then eventually you get to the point where it's either the event ends, and then you'll see, if you see on the screen there where it says pending events, that means that either the all of the round robin games are done, or all of the double elimination games are done, and you're moving on to a playoff round. Something needs attention, and if you click on that, it will show you which ones need attention, and either to complete it or to move to a playoff round.
Yeah.
So
And
that's sort of your warning there.
my understanding is that, correct me if I'm wrong, is that in order for this autofill thing to be run, the players entering their own scores must also be on, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Katie's not. Yes. Okay. Yes.
yes.
Okay. So yeah, if you guys, I think this makes the option of running your tournament super easy. And if you're kind of like me, where you run your stuff on designated courts, here's how you do that. If you go to manage event court counts and start times, you can go exclude courts, right? So you just go find your event, click on number of excluded courts, click on that 0. What I usually do is I set all to no, and then I just click on the ones that I do want to have. So let's say this bracket is playing on courts 1, 2, and 3. Click save, and then, okay, now the system is only going to pull those 3 courts for that bracket. And then you can continue to work on that as you kind of create your schedule. Use your simulator to adjust these and figure out what courts each bracket will be playing on, and then the court desk will send them out within that specified vicinity of courts. Okay. Anything else to add before we get to the live Q&A from either of you? Janice, Katie, go ahead. You got something?
Yeah, so I was just going to say this really changes the job of the tournament operations desk. You know, we're used to score sheets coming in and sending score sheets out. And, you don't have that anymore because the players just go out to their courts and play, and then they watch their phone, and everything is happening on their phone, all of their instructions. So I think for sure the first time you use this, you really, you're not tied down to the desk anymore. Mm-hmm. And you really need to be out amongst the players to help them enter the scores and stuff. And so I started bringing my iPad, because I can have the court desk up on that. I can switch over to bracket view and see if players are entering their scores, but I can do that while I'm walking around. And so it makes me more available to the players to help them if they need it. But then I can also kind of monitor what's going on, because if they're all doing it on their phones and you sit at your tournament desk, you kind of lose control of what's going on out there. So I like to get out and walk around with my iPad to just kind of watch what's going on and make sure, see if players need help.
Yeah, I like that. And it really also gets you involved in the tournament as well, and gives people like a friendly face for the tournament. So I love that. Janice, anything to add from you?
Yeah, so just adding on to what Katie just said is keeping things moving, because we all know that at the end of a match, everybody shakes hands, taps paddles, starts a conversation, and nobody's putting the scores in.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens with paper score sheets as well. This is not anything new, but you really do need to emphasize that you need to put this score in immediately as soon as you finish.
Yeah.
Then have your conversation and talk to your friends.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it'll just get stalled.
Right. All right, let's move over to the live Q&A a second. We'll be back in a jiffy. All right, so a couple of things came in. This person is asking, we sent our players 2 courts with all the round robin matches printed. Will all the matches be open so that players can enter scores when a match is completed? I'm not sure I understand that. I'm thinking that they're asking that because they printed score sheets must be already, and they're asking if the option to enter scores for players is going to be available. Janice, are you understanding the question?
Yeah, and honestly, when I first heard this feature, I was thinking in the same terms of printed score sheets, and there really are no more printed score sheets.
Yeah.
You can print them out if you want to, if you really want people to fill in the score sheets, but that whole process is replaced by the players entering their scores.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have a round robin event where you normally just printed all the score sheets and sent them out with a court monitor to assign the courts, the system is doing that for you. And you don't need those printed score sheets anymore at all.
Right.
I think too, Janice, I check and see if this is correct. If they print them all and don't go back and mark them as not being printed, the software is going to think that they've already been played.
This system doesn't look at that at all.
Okay.
So it just basically ignores that completely.
Okay, good.
So as long as players enter their own scores is on, then the system will bypass the score sheets thing, right? Is what we're understanding. Yes. Got it. I think maybe the only exception to that rule is if you have refs, right? So you may need a score sheet for that. We do have a referee app that I personally am not super familiar with yet. Just as a side note, we are working on a webinar with Don Stanley coming next month. So keep an eye out for that if you are interested in that, and maybe you get a chance to ask him some fun questions or some rules questions or whatever. So the little plug for that coming in the future. But anyway, so Janice, my understanding is potentially using the referee app to enter scores would mean no score sheets there either. Is that correct?
Yeah, so you could print out an official score sheet if you wanted to. If you don't have, if you have a ref who is not using the app, you could print out an official score sheet and the ref would use the app and then the ref would return the score sheet to the desk. So the players in that case would not have to put the scores in. The ref would do it, and then you at the desk would put in the score.
Got it. Let's see. How would the tournament desk know that a score was entered? I think this is kind of the point of the software, is that we almost don't really. It's like we get to just have this self run, and like Katie was saying, she's walking around with her iPad, refreshing it, making sure people are kind of hanging on, or doing the right thing, and following the bracket. And you as the tournament director get to be freed up for that. Katie, do you have anything to add there?
So if you want to see if the scores are actually going in, you'll need to switch over to Live Console and actually open up that bracket. That's the only place that you can see scores actually going in. If you do leave it on court desk, you can kind of know that something happened just based on like how long that the courts that are showing on the court desk have been assigned. So if you see something that's been sitting there for like 1 minute, then you know that something finished and assigned that one to it. So you know something happened, but I just kind of switch back and forth between the court desk view so I can, just make sure if I see something that's on there super long, then I'm going to go to that court and say, hey, has anybody, entered the score? And then I just switch back to the bracket view also as I'm walking around with my iPad to make sure the scores are going in without any problems.
Yeah, that's good advice. I like that.
So I would just say one other thing in terms of comfort level, because we've been doing this for so long, and you're comfortable when you see the scores go in. I think that what Katie is doing, switching back and forth, and I do the same thing, just to see them there. You just want to see that they're there. I think that's really good to do at the start, but at some point we probably will almost abandon that unless there's a problem.
Sure. And then Mike, he just asked, how do you know if a score was not entered but should have? And so I think Katie just commented about that, about if you are kind of monitoring the court desk and, you have one match to 15, which should take, traditionally 25 minutes, more or less. And you're at 55 minutes in the court desk, right? So that's something to just keep an eye on. Like she said, just go to that court and say, hey, what's the status? Who forgot to enter their score, right? So how are scores verified to be correct? Chuck is asking that. And that is just your opponents are going to confirm that. And if they don't confirm that on their side of things, that's when both teams will be prompted to come up to the tournament desk, or if something's wrong, you'll get a text message with a copy of your score. And I've even had it too as a tournament director, where I get a little dyslexic and enter things upside down or backwards or whatever. And I usually catch it right away, but every once in a while somebody beats me to it and they come up to the tournament desk. So people usually are paying pretty close attention to their scores and will let you know if they need to be fixed. Christina is asking, once they input their scores, how will the next matches be printed out, or how will the TD know if it's sending new people to certain courts? Any and all questions about the notification process. Katie, why don't you take that one with your experience again? I think this is pretty automatic, but you can go ahead and comment on that.
Yeah, so if you really want to see them doing it, you're going to have to be in the bracket view. So you'll see, you'll have the bracket open, you have all the teams listed at the top, and then you can see who's assigned to what court. And then as the software, as a score goes in, you can see it populate, and then, it'll automatically put the next two on a court, and so that will change. You do need to be constantly refreshing your court desk or the bracket view. So you just need to hit that refresh pretty often. And but you can see it in the bracket view. I don't think it's as easy to get that something's happening if you're in the court desk.
So from the player's perspective, when a game is assigned, they get a text message that says you are assigned to court 5, who your opponents are, and it says go there immediately. When they finish the game, then one of the, and this is important, only one person needs to do this, not all 4, input the score, and you'll be able to do it through your phone. And there will be a link in the text message that will take you directly to the spot where you put scores in. And once that goes in, then you get another text, which is a confirmation that the score has been entered and what it is. So you're getting these multiple texts, and that's another thing that's important. You have to keep track of the fact that just because you got a text there may be another one that comes in after that if someone disputes the score you just put in or something like that. So and that's why it's important to have your reading glasses with you.
Yes, that's true.
And then I wanted to also throw in what we started doing when we're using this feature in our tournaments is in the bracket meeting, we tell the players the team that wins is the one that sends it in, because a lot of times they don't know each other and all the teams go off court and like 2 people are trying to enter the score at the same time, and that created a problem for us. So we just said, okay, we'll have the winners enter the score. And then if they don't want to do it, we had some people that were just really uncomfortable doing that part, then it's like, just ask somebody else, ask your opponents to do it. But at least there's some kind of guidelines so you don't always have 2 players trying to enter scores at the end.
Right. So I think, Mike, that answers your question about pushing new scores out or refreshing devices for players. And then, Billy, I think that also answers your question about if all four players on the court do have access to their accounts. But like Katie was saying, just set the one person from each team to be responsible for it. Paul is asking, what size tournaments have you used this for? The number of courts, and did you use pods or first available? Janice, why don't we start with you for your couple of maybe 2 or so of your tournaments that you've used this for, number of courts, size, and first available or pods.
So I'll start with the biggest one because that's probably the best example. We had a tournament. This was a senior games tournament too. So Katie smiles because she was there. So our concern initially was that, first of all, seniors would have difficulty, it's age 50 and above, with this. And it really didn't work out that way. There was some initial problems, but in the end, everybody did it. It was in 3 different physical locations.
Wow.
So it was close to 500 players in 3 different physical locations. And we had, Katie actually took care of one that had 9 courts, and right next to it was another one that had 3 courts. So they were listed separately. I had one with 12 courts, and then we had another little spot with another 4 courts that somebody handled. But what Katie did was she actually did not have pods for the main location, the 9 courts, and it was somewhat contained. So basically the next one up went out to the next available court. I was in a much bigger building with 12 courts that were spread out, so I did use separate pods, and we started off each group on a group of 3 or 4 courts, and that's where they stayed, and it worked great. It really did. And so it also, and again, it freed me and a couple other people who were volunteers to help with helping them get the scores in. Because it was a 3-day tournament, after the first day, some people knew how to do it. So the second day went easier. Then after the second day, you had even more people who knew how to do it. So the third day worked really well. So that was a big tournament. The smaller ones that I've had, with 6 or so courts or whatever, you don't have to worry about the pods, but you can still do it if you want to.
Right. That's a very good example. Katie, anything to add from your perspective? That was the tournament, right? You guys had a little bit of everything in that tournament. That's a good example. Can the enter score feature be used without the auto assign feature? Janice, why don't you take that one since that's more of a techie thing? Can you? I'll repeat that. Can players entering scores feature be used without the auto assign feature? They both have to be together, correct?
They do both have to be together, because as soon as you enter the score, it's going to look for someone else, another team that you need to play, and assign that game.
Yes. And Peter, we do have a video showing the process from the player's perspective. That's on our YouTube page. I'm going to be working on one that's a little bit more concise as well. That's also on my list in the next week or two. So that's coming, but there is one there. It's just one of a person from our tech department just showing from his phone what he is seeing and what the opponents see. Is there an option for players to easily enter their own scores from club-owned devices versus having to use their own? That's not possible because you have to have access to your own account. I suppose you could set it up for an iPad for a bracket or something like that, but that would involve a lot of trust that they're not going to mess with other people's scores. So you could do that potentially, but I would probably recommend just using your own, having players use their own device. Yes, Katie, yes on that. Yeah. What about, we did talk about refs. Yep, we got the answer, yes. So if just a couple more people wanting clarification on the autofill. So if you have only a few events with self-reporting scores, then you can't use the autofill courts feature.
Correct.
Correct.
You actually can.
Okay.
So if you say it's a mixed bag, you're using, some are entering their own scores and others you are assigning the courts.
Mm-hmm.
If you assign the courts, you can do that. And if they're in the queue, the court desk will assign whoever's next in the queue.
Okay.
And so what I would suggest is starting the events first where you're going to assign the courts, and then use the autofill. And the autofill after that will fill the rest of the courts automatically. And then after that, the court desk just pulls, the system just pulls from whoever's in the queue. And it could be either from the players who are putting in their own scores, or the ones where, the tournament is entering the scores. They just go into the queue and the next ones get assigned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done it both ways in my previous tournaments where I was testing this out. One of them, I wasn't doing phone entry for all of them. And one of them, I wanted all of the brackets who were using phone entry closer to the score table. So I went ahead and went in and assigned them to courts. And then the other brackets that were just using the paper scorecards, they had all of the rest of them that the software would assign those to those courts. But then I also had it mixed bag. I did another tournament where I had some doing paper and some doing the phone entry, but I didn't assign any courts. So I just started some, and then I did the autofill with the ones that were doing the phone entry. Janice, you're correct in saying that the ones that you want to assign courts, you should do first. But then I just let it take over from there, and so it'll do it either way.
Gotcha. So autofill, here's what I'm understanding. Autofill can be run with or without players entering their own scores, but players entering their own scores cannot be run without autofill. Correct?
That sounds right.
Okay. All right. All right. I think that will help. That clarifies. Christian, is there a way to get the simulator to exclude courts for divisions? Yes, that is in the manage court counts and start times. That's here. Just quick go to these and you can exclude courts. Enter what you want there, save it, and then you can update your simulator or daily planner, whatever you are using there, and it'll kind of consolidate that. I do have a video on our YouTube page for that. It is, if you kind of Google Pickleball Play Solutions and YouTube and manage courts, it should pop right up for you. I'm gonna apologize to you guys. I don't know if you can hear my dog back there or not, but she's got the cone of shame on right now and she's not happy about it. So okay, let me see where we're at. I think we're getting to the bottom here. Joseph, yes, this is being recorded. You should get an email afterwards. If not, it'll be on our YouTube page under the webinar section. Our YouTube page is Pickleball Play Solutions. So just if you Google YouTube, Pickleball Play Solutions, you can get right to our channel. Billy is asking, can we start using this feature now? You have an event August 2nd, and yes, you can start using this now. So you'll be able to go back and watch how we set it up, and it's super, super easy. Just going into your events, adding sliding a toggle switch, and then having your system auto run. Okay, and then Cindy, we got that one with the autofill question and entering courts, I think. Autofill is the court. If you use autofill, is the court number printed on the score sheet?
There's no score sheet.
If so, right. So if you use something, so you were saying, Katie, you used like a mixed bag last weekend, right? So you had some that were pre-printed score sheets, correct? And some that were, or do you just run the score sheet based off of what comes out of the court desk? You don't pre-print.
I do next available for the printed score sheets. And then my clipboards have numbers on them, so I know which ones are available, or you can find which ones are available with the little pull down screen when you are assigning the paper ones to courts. But the brackets that were using the phone entry, it was auto sending them where they should go.
Right. Okay.
The paper ones you have to assign.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. All right. I think we have gotten to the end of our Q&A. So if you guys have any further questions on this, feel free to send us an email, support@pickleball.com. This recording, like I said, will be available on our YouTube page, usually by the end of the day, once it processes and downloads to my computer. We usually do have it up by the end of the day. Pickleball Play Solutions, YouTube, and we have a webinar playlist, and this one will be there, so you can go back and rewatch this if you so desire. But I am really excited about this feature, And I haven't tried it yet, but I am very excited to give it a try. So Janice, Katie, thank you guys both so much for being here, sharing your expertise with us, and answering all these questions. And yeah, we'd love to hear feedback from tournament directors if you guys end up using this, and what you thought, and send us your suggestions. We'd love to hear from you, and how we can always be improving. So hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day and a great weekend, and we will see you next time.